What is going down, investors? I'll tell you what's going down. My account actually not too bad. I was up a little bit after hours, but I'm gonna go through the account and then talk a little bit about market activities, recent things that have been on my radar. By the way, this is a one shot, no edits or anything like that. So feel free to grab a cup of coffee or something or a drink and sit down and relax. We're gonna look at some charts. Gonna look at some relative performance. I'm gonna expose all my positions. I'm gonna do a little account review from the investing tab, and then I'll talk briefly about the market. Some current news should be exciting for me, at least. All right, going into the account, I'm sitting at 149,700, which is considerably down from the all-time highs of maybe 214,000. I want to say so. Pretty bleak in the last month or three, but hopefully that thing will reverse. I am guessing that we're near a bottom in the markets, at least not in the economy. But let's go into the internals here. Let's see. I'm gonna cover all the positions. You'll see that I have some new options that I'm gonna explain to you in a second. But I'm gonna quickly scroll through the positions here. You can feel free to pause the player at any moment to try to figure out my exact positions. All the information is gonna be contained within this little box right here. So I'm scrolling. Here are the equities: Apple, Realty Income, Main Street Capital, Paramount, Smith & Wesson. My two largest positions are actually in the green today, but overall the account was about flat. Apple and Smith & Wesson. And if you notice, there's a new entrance to the account here, and is STC. It's kind of like a housing-related insurance company, Steward Information Services. I was amazed to find out that this information was actually founded in 1893. This company, was founded in 1893 in Texas, currently residing the headquarters. Relatively small company, 7,300 people. Market cap's not that big, but the numbers behind it is so big that if the housing market ever turns around, I think this company will just shine. Currently, their stats are really good, and I want to start stacking this company. As soon as some of the options roll off in a couple weeks, I might have some extra money to lever up and buy some of this. The PE ratio at the moment is 4. Dividend yield's going to be 4. It's 3.59 right now. So we'll see what happens. But there's a new entrant. Okay, so that's the account here. We're going to go into that's my watch list. We're going to go into the investing tab and figure out the exact ratios. I'm sitting at almost $110,000 in debt to Robinhood, or 42.3% of the total account, which means that I'm 84.6% levered, which is very high. I think the maximum is like 100% leverage, so very close to the maximum. Total money under management here, 260,000. This number should be a lot higher if the market turns, and I hold on to some of these positions. By total return, Apple is the only one that's sitting in the green right now. By equity, this is how the account stacks up. We got Apple, Smith & Wesson, Main Street Capital, Realty Income, Paramount, and Steward. So, sorry about that. Okay, performance. Today, I was about flat, up a little bit after hours. This is the 1 week performance. I'm down almost 4%, very bad. The 1 month performance is absolutely just devastating. I'm down 25%. It's very, very bad. 3 month, down 16%. I think I'm losing to the market in the last 3 months, week and 1 month. Year to date, probably about even, down 19.54%. In 1 year, it might be slightly ahead. The all-time chart, I always have to say when I show this chart that I started investing somewhere around here in August 28th, 2018. That's why the chart looks so flat before that, because there wasn't any money in it. But over the last 4 years or so, I'm up 107%. So not too bad considering how badly I've been doing in the last couple of months. Relative performance, so we're going to look at the SPY, which is the exchange traded fund of the top most profitable companies by size in the United States. And you can see in the 5-year, it's only up 41.7%. One day, though, I'm actually winning on the day. It was only down 0.12%. The S&P is down 0.75%. So some positive news for my account relative to the market. Losing on the week by a little bit. Definitely losing on the month by more than twice, I think. So extremely bad month for me. Extremely bad month. But hopefully things turn around. I'm losing by 10% or so on the 3-month. In the 1 year, I think I'm beating the S&P by about 5 or 6%. So that's relative performance. That was the review of the account. Now it's time to look at the markets. So this is what happened today. Apple was up a little bit. For the most part, it was kind of a mixed bag. Markets were trying to figure out and catch some footing. I think the tech sector, for the most part, sold off. And utilities were about flat. It looks like the insurance industry rallied. What else? Aerospace rallied. But just little off brands like this, like packaging and foods, nothing really too positive to say about the market, honestly. Banks were down to mixed. Let's see what you can see. All right, yeah. So, tech continues to suffer. Semiconductors are suffering. There was this publication that came out, I guess, that the government's going to be pretty harsh on imports from the semiconductor sector, or they're going to be more choosy about what gets produced in China rather than United States. So I think that kind of weighed on the markets altogether. I mean, it's a big reason why I guess Alibaba sold off too. But when it comes to the Chinese positions, I have some comments. First of all, talking about Alibaba, there's some articles about Alibaba, and they think that the chip export controls are partially why Alibaba is slowing down. But there's a lot of other stuff going on with the company. Like, for example, they announced that they're going to be doing a partnership with XPeng, which is kind of weird because I thought that Alibaba was going to get into the EV business independently. But it looks like that might be too heavy of a task, and so perhaps that's why they're partnering with XPeng. So, which is a really big electric vehicle Chinese manufacturer. They're like, very big. I mean, they're probably producing I don't know these figures off the top of my head, I'm just guessing, but it's probably as big as Tesla, like as far as vehicles produced. I don't know the exact figures, so correct me if you know them, but they're really large. And their market cap is pretty big too. I'm not going to pull it up now, but it's it's fairly big. It's a major car producer. So there are other stuff that goes on with the Alibaba. They've been mulling over this, the audit problem for quite some time. So just real briefly, the issue is that the regulators from the US side on the exchanges, they need to be able to have clear audits done, approved US agencies, right? The PBAOC needs to be able to approve the books of the Chinese ADRs. And so it's creating a bit of a problem because they're not allowed to share their books out. The Chinese companies are not allowed to share their books with foreigners because of potential state secrets or whatever the reasoning is. So that's a really big complication that it looks like not going to be resolved. But there's an optimism that they might, which would be a really big step forward. Which is interesting because things have not been moving in that direction, by the way. I mean, everything between China and the US, as far as rules goes, has been kind of separating as of late, not merging together. So I don't know if this will follow suit or will go counter trend and actually allow the listings of Chinese companies in the United States stay there. Whether it is through the VIE structure, variable interest entity structure, or not, I don't know. But apparently people think that the issue is going to get resolved. I am not optimistic, but I'm not pessimistic either. I'm about 50-50 on that. But there are other stuff that's going on. I mean, the Chinese companies, especially JD and Alibaba, they continue to grow revenues, although not as fast as before. And obviously the earnings are taking a hit too. But which is, while I'm on the topic though, I'm really interested actually to have American style accounting on these Chinese firms to actually see what's going on with the numbers, because I know from looking into it that a lot of these Chinese companies, they own pieces of other companies, own pieces of each other, or at least they used to, and now they're trying to move away from that. But I think, as far as the way I understand it, they have a different way of booking earnings than the U.S. companies, and so they consider like a rise in asset value to be an earning in the earnings category. So the books of the Chinese, I mean, if you just look at the numbers at the end result of their calculation, it doesn't really tell us anything productive. So I would actually like to have American style accounting on these companies to figure out what their numbers actually mean and how they're moving and compare it to the U.S. companies, you know. But anyway, that's just wishful thinking, I guess. So they continue to record some record numbers here on some of their big sales days. And a really big thing actually that people don't think is big, but I think it's big, is this guy right here. So I think they're referring to the Lipstick King guy, but he returned on the platform. He was, I guess, missing for like 3 months or something. I forget how long, but I don't know why or whether it was controversial or not in China. But this dude, he sells like 2 billion worth of merchandise per session. That's how big sales. That's how much sales influence this guy has. Like, let me like try to explain that again, okay? So he's the revenue of the products he sells per session is $2 billion at least. That's his record. That's more than the entire revenue line of publicly traded companies yearly. He does it in a single session, right? Not a month, not a quarter, in one session, one sitting. All right, that's how big of a deal this guy is. $2 billion. All right. So the returning gives me a lot of positive signs, not just because the numbers are going to look better, but because he's somewhat of a controversial figure, because in China they have that policy of like they don't want to allow feminizing men or whatever into their public media, but they're allowing him back on, which is, I think, very positive when it comes to like freedom of expression and freedom of movement in China. And if this is happening, there could be other positive things that are happening as well. So I hope he stays on, not because I'm a fan or I watch him, but for the sake of the diversity or freedom, allowing people to do whatever they want. If he wants to sell lipstick, more power to him. So and especially if he's working for Alibaba and I own Alibaba leaps, then he should definitely be on the platform. But anyway, so I think from a positive perspective, that's happening. The negative side as well is that I don't know if this deal is ever going to work out, and trading tensions are also hardening between the countries. So I have a little mixed opinion on the whole situation. I still have my spreads, I guess, still have the leaps, but they keep bleeding. Speaking of bleeding, check out PayPal, right? I mean, PayPal had a very bad day today. I'll tell you what happened with PayPal. So it lost like 6%. And check out this article. All right. PayPal says policy to fine customers for misinformation was in error. So PayPal released some new update that's going to go in effect. It was going to go in effect on November 3rd. That was going to fine users, okay, for spreading misinformation. I'm not kidding, okay? So they basically were going to fine you. I was looking for the exact thing. Look at this. So they said they sent it in error, but they had updated their policy to issue $2,500 for spreading misinformation. Like, I'm not actually kidding. that they were gonna do that, and then there was a huge backlash on the internets and Twitter and everything, and so they said that they sent the change in error. Okay, they weren't gonna actually implement it, but which I failed to understand how that's real, because they wouldn't have never written it in there if they didn't intend to publish it. Like, so I smell a little bit of BS on that, to be frank. But nevertheless, the company fell down 6%, and we'll see what happens with it so far. I mean, from here on out. I do unfortunately own like a couple leaps on PayPal, so there goes that trade. And I don't know if I might not never make my money back here. I have 130 leap goals, which are not looking good right now. So I think that's basically what happened in the markets. I haven't made a video in some time. I've been trying to. I just haven't really had the time to kind of sit down and walk over my account. I was going to make some company videos over the weekend. I haven't done those yet. But I do want to do some shallow dives on various companies. If you have a company in mind that you want me to review, you can leave that in the comments below, and I'll do a brief shallow dive on it, and tell you my opinion and what I think of the company, at least when it comes to the numbers, because I'm not going to have any intimate detail of the company besides what's been published as of late. So keep that in mind. I can tell you what I think of the company based on the numbers, but not like what the CEO or someone that's got in their back pocket is going to present tomorrow, or how unique, and revolutionary technology is going to be, because that stuff is like, it's kind of a guessing game, to be honest. I mean, there was some dude, I don't know the name of the guy or when he published the study, but basically the findings were that it's almost impossible to predict like which company's technology is going to end up being the next revolution, or is going to end up exploding into the public markets. Like, people have hunches, they have opinions, but the matter of fact is that most growth companies with new products, they die out and they never make it. So, that's just the facts. So it's better actually to wait for the company to mature a little bit before you put your money behind it. At least that's my personal opinion. Definitely not financial advice of any kind. Not a financial advisor, and I don't do financial advice. Okay, I'm gonna end it right there. This video is already long enough, but I figure I'd do a longer one since I haven't been on camera for a while. Alright, that's the account, and till next time. Peace out.